The Four Agreements. A practical guide to personal freedom, summarized for busy people. Based on the book by Don Miguel Ruiz and Janet Mills. About this book summary. This book summary serves as a guide to the Four Agreements. No text of the actual book is included, so if you prefer, you may purchase a copy before you proceed. This guide includes a summary of the powerful agreements that can lead us out of a life of suffering and into achieving our personal freedom lived in a life of joy and love. General overview. Years ago in southern Mexico, a group of scientists and artists called the Toltec had an abundance of practices and spiritual knowledge that came from their ancestors. Students and masters alike gathered at one place in the city. But when the European invasion took place, there were apprentices who misused their power, so the masters were forced to keep their knowledge a secret to protect it from unworthy ones who could misuse it. Over later generations, this wisdom had returned to the people, and Don Miguel Ruiz, coming from a lineage of masters, began sharing the Toltec ideologies. The wisdom imparted embraced the spirit and can be a means of living where love and happiness are attainable. The first chapter of the book will open you about the different aspects of life of which you were previously unaware. We were taught a lot of things from youth, and most of these were based on others' own beliefs. Our teachers and parents taught us what they believe is the best way to behave in the community, and these rules and regulations were instilled in us until we followed them growing up. This wasn't a choice given to us, from our religion, our moral values, and even our names. This causes us to simply accept everything handed to us, and fighting these beliefs and opinions cause us only to lose. This is the way we lose our freedom. The Four Agreements will help you take back this freedom by letting go of old beliefs and transforming your life in a more positive way. The second chapter then shows the first agreement about being flawless with your word. We have this tendency to throw out words without thinking beforehand. This agreement will make you more intentional with what you say. The next chapter then talks about not taking everything personally. Often we have been clouded by what we think of ourselves in every situation, but not everything is about us. It isn't necessary to prove yourself and be correct the whole time. It is important to accept that each person has different beliefs and views of the world, which is an important agreement to make with yourself. The fourth chapter talks about the immediate assumption or judgments we make and will show us the importance of clarification in order to clear any doubt about everything. The first three agreements are important to always keep track of, and this will be further discussed in the fifth chapter. Doing is the thing that will let us achieve the things we want to happen. Great results come from giving the best of what you have. The sixth and seventh chapters will help you understand what freedom truly means, which can only be achieved upon breaking old agreements. We constantly strive for freedom within our lives by creating this perfect image that we never live up to. This is because no one is and can ever be perfect. Even life, itself, is not perfect. Self-acceptance is important, and challenging our old beliefs will require bravery. All the knowledge we've had over the years makes it easy to choose the right thing. And each person has their own view of what's right because of difference in thoughts and opinions. The agreements we've made over the course of our lives, especially the ones we made with ourselves, are the most important. These can either send us into a state of misery or set us free. Seeking a life of enjoyment and satisfaction will require cutting old agreements stemming from fear. Take control of your life. You won't have to suffer anymore because of the burden of these beliefs. You can create new habits and live a better life. Everything is within you. Everything is possible. You only have to choose the right agreements. Chapter 1. Domestication and the Dream of the Planet. Life is a constant stream of dreams. You're constantly dreaming, whether you're awake or asleep. Even before we came into the world, we've already created a dream of the outside, which is what we call society's dream. This is a shared dream made of smaller and more personal dreams, and, together, they create a family's dream, a community's dream, a city's dream, a country's dream, and the humanity's dream. This dream is composed of all the rules, laws, beliefs, traditions of different cultures. This ability to dream is developed as we're born, and the people with whom we surround ourselves have their own ways of teaching us how to dream the society's dreams, and here is how they begin to instill the rules in our mind. When we focus our attention on the things we want to understand, we'll find that as we were growing up, the information and rules instilled in our minds will be repeated until we learn them by heart. It had been the norm that what the society believes is the right way to behave, to understand what's right or wrong, and what's acceptable and what isn't. Getting others' attention can also become a competitive activity in which, as children, we compete to get our parents', friends', and teachers' attention, and this need goes on into adulthood. Society has its way of teaching all the aspects of life we would need, starting with the language, and each letter and word creates an agreement. We didn't have the freedom to choose what language we want to speak. We didn't have the freedom to choose our moral values and religion, even the option of accepting or rejecting what others tell us as well as our names. Being children, every piece of information had been handed to us by adults and the agreements had been created upon keeping all these information. And there we developed faith the moment we believed in something unconditionally. Children find it easy to believe in what adults say, even in trying to defy them. Defending what we want is not enough for the strength we have, and we then end up losing and succumbing to their beliefs. This is called human domestication. We were taught, as young children, to live and dream a certain way. We receive things in the form of advice and guidance, which then creates our entire belief system, and this is also how we learn to judge ourselves and others. Children are trained by reward and punishment, and each time they follow the rules, they are given rewards. Otherwise, they are punished. This is how we become afraid of straying away from the rules. This results in conforming to what others want us to do, and we pretend in order to feel accepted by others, and rejection becomes frightening for us. Once we grow up, we'll learn how to say no, and this is the way we can begin to take back our freedom. We've been raised up so intensely that we don't even need to be taught by others anymore. We acquire the knowledge to learn on our own, and we can discipline ourselves when we violate the rules and reward ourselves when necessary. Our belief system becomes our personal truths, and this takes over our minds, especially with our judgments in evaluating everything and everywhere, and another part of us that receives the judgment, making us feel guilt, blame, and shame. Because of this belief system, we begin to fear whatever is against it, and when our beliefs are questioned, we feel a sense of insecurity, which is why we constantly have to raise our courage in fighting for our beliefs. The government controls the society, and our belief system controls our personal dream. The judge and the victim in one whole within our minds, but true justice arises from every mistake committed, and true injustice arises from how many times we make a mistake. We are the only creature capable of paying for our mistakes, and each mistake taken to the mind, we punish ourselves correspondingly. Within the society, people experience all sorts of emotional suffering which can cause fear to dominate our minds. In that, we can see human suffering, injustice, violence, hatred, addiction, and revenge. Our society is almost comparable to a hell, as religions throughout the world describe. And in this place, people can bring us down to that dark place when we let them. But it's also possible to escape this hell in an attempt to achieve a good life. Humanity naturally seeks the beautiful, just, and truthful, and this search does not cease. What we don't realize is that everything we look for already exists within us. We couldn't see this because of the beliefs and agreements that have clouded our minds. These false beliefs keep us from seeing clearly, so we only rely on what we believe, which can lead us to pain and suffering. Within the mind, there seems to be a lot of voices where everyone talks simultaneously and none understand the other. We can't see the real us, and we don't realize that we are imprisoned in our own minds. We fear truly living, taking risks, and revealing our true selves. We become comfortable in our own lives while seeking to please others. We create in our minds a perfect image which we try to live up to, and this image would be acceptable to society, but that can never be attained because we can never be perfect. No one is perfect. We tend to reject ourselves when we realize our striving for perfection is futile. We cannot sit with the idea that we cannot be the perfect image we idealize ourselves to be, it seems that we're not what we're meant to be and we can't forgive ourselves because of it. We hide our true selves by putting on social masks so that others won't judge us based on their idea of perfection. They, naturally, would fail to meet our expectations as well. Our imperfections cause us to constantly punish ourselves. We can either abuse ourselves or make others abuse us. How much of this abuse will be based on how much you can tolerate other people's abuse towards you. It's quite ironic to have a desire to be loved and accepted by other people while not accepting ourselves. It's important to learn how to let go of that perfect image you have in mind and love who you are. This is the only way to avoid self-rejection. When you achieve this, you will also be able to embrace and accept others as they are. Our lives are composed of countless agreements we've made with ourselves, others, the society, and even God. But the agreements you created with yourself are the most important ones since they would create your personality. There are a lot of these agreements that bring nothing but suffering into your life. Having the courage to break these old agreements is the path to having a life filled with joy and love. With the power of 4 agreements, you will be able to break through your old habits that keep you living in fear and draining your energy. These agreements will empower you to transform your belief system and show you the possible future there is in being free from hell and creating a heaven within yourself. Chapter 2. The first agreement. Be impeccable with your word. This is considered the most important, but the hardest agreement to fulfill. It may sound simple, but this will help you get past this heaven on earth. You have the power to create your word or what you say, and it's a gift that God gave you. Everything about you can be expressed by and is reflected through your words. This doesn't simply mean sounds, but it allows you to communicate, express, think, and create outcomes in your life. That's why it's a powerful instrument, considering how you can create a dream or destroy things around you. It can either imprison you or free you. It will only depend on how you use it. Almost like magic, it can turn into black magic when you misuse it. The mind, in the same way, will plant seeds around you, from your ideas to your opinions. Planting them in your mind will let them grow. That's why it's important to set your mind to outcomes that will stem from love. The power that your words possess has to be recognized, considering how others have planted ideas in our minds through their words. That's also why demeaning words have created powerful effects in our minds. When others grab our attention, their words can easily be planted in our minds and affect us either positively or negatively. When someone tells you, for example, that you're a foolish person, this agreement will hold true in your mind and flourish. The word impeccability refers to faultless, and this is what religions discuss when talking about sin, which is something that happens when you create a conflict within yourself. You deny yourself when blaming or judging yourself for a negative action you did, but being impeccable doesn't have the same meaning. This is when you hold yourself responsible for your own behavior without condemning yourself. Sin begins only when you reject yourself, and this is the major sin you could commit. Self-rejection can only lead to destruction, but impeccability promotes life. Loving yourself and showing this love through your interactions with others, you're then using your words in an impeccable way. Selfless actions create similar effects. Use your energy in staying true to your words and direct constantly towards love and truth. You'll be able to release emotional pain and reflect your truth when you strengthen this agreement. Words are often used to blame, curse, and destroy others. They're used to express hate, anger, resentment, and jealousy. We create chaos through words and breed hatred among nations, races, people, and families. We drag others down with us upon falling and remain in this fearful state. But when we listen to others' opinions and trust their word, we create an agreement that can add to our established beliefs. People throwing negative words usually are not aware of what they're doing. That's why it's important to forgive them. Differing perspectives can also be potent in harming each other. That's why building agreements that are grounded in truth is the way to avoid this. The truth has a power that can break this harm and free us from pain and sorrow. Words are a way of resolving this, so it's important to use them properly. Try and observe the day-to-day interaction between people. there is a tendency to say negative words to others, and this can take the form of gossips, which is learned by agreement. During childhood, hearing about adults gossiping can reinforce this kind of agreement, even when what the adults are talking about are not nice, and children are led to believe that this is the normal way of communicating. In today's society, gossiping has become a normal means of communication wherein we feel that we establish close relations when we do this. It can give us a sense of relief when others reciprocate this, but this works like a computer virus where it's made of the same components as computer code, but it can only harm the system. All of a sudden, your computer will seem to have stopped working properly or at all. Gossiping can ruin people's relationship even when people resort to this as a way of escaping confusion and finding momentary relief. This is somewhat like a computer virus instilled in others' minds, which makes them think less clearly. If this was what happened across the globe, the world would be full of people working through clogged circuits. Your own opinion is also based on your feelings and sentiments, but this doesn't mean that it's true. Opinions stem from dreams, beliefs, and the ego. We have this tendency to create hatred and then have it validated by others. In understanding what words can do, we will be able to envision all the positive effects that we can make of. First, treating yourself properly, then acting towards others, especially towards those whom you love. Learning impeccability with your words, you'll be able to release the emotional poison and clear your mind. Communication with personal relations will improve as long as you keep yourself immune from the negativity that others may cast towards you. Your mind keeps itself from becoming a fertile ground for black magic seeds and can only create those that stem from love. These are the seeds that are worth taking care of and reproducing. Your words will then reflect your sincerity and love for yourself. It will tell how good or happy you feel and whether you're at peace with yourself. You will be able to get past the world of darkness and achieve happiness and freedom. Use your words with good intentions and use this to spread love towards others. This way, you will lift yourself up and truly love yourself, and this will be the best opportunity for you to break all other small agreements that bring you suffering and chaos. You can improve your life when you become impeccable with your word, and it can lead you to your success, abundance, and personal freedom. It will allow you not to live in fear but in pure love and happiness. Chapter 3: The Second Agreement. Don't take anything personally. Think about all the times you've thought about so many things too hard. It's important to see some moments for what they are rather than taking them too personally. If someone teases you, bullies you, or says something negative about you, remember that it has more to do with them than about you. It can be second nature to take things personally, and this is exactly when you accept others' opinions, which eventually traps you. Personal importance is the highest form of selfishness in assuming everything is about you, believing that you're responsible for a lot. In truth, most things that people do has nothing to do with you. Everyone in your life is in their own minds and personal dreams. What you have in your mind are different from theirs, and yet you take things personally, thinking that others understand your world. In the same way, you try to force yourself into their world. Even when certain situations seem personal, they're still not about you. What people say are solely based on their own agreements. Someone's remarks will be based on their opinions, beliefs, and feelings, even with actions done in spite. Grabbing someone's attention with an opinion can create negative judgment, so it would be a gift to become immune to this bitterness. It may upset you, especially if you're very sensitive to others' words and actions, so you may end up defending yourself in any way. You may also overreact to small things because you may think you're right. Nevertheless, what you feel, say, and do will only reflect your own agreements. What you think and feel are unique to you since they're your personal truths, so, feeling angry will mean you're taking it on yourself with the excuse of others making you angry. You're angry only because you're afraid of something. These negative emotions must have no place in your life when you choose love over fear. You'll create a sense of delight, happiness, appreciation, and peace. Your agreements will make you happy. The same goes for how you view yourself. Your mind speaks to itself and allows you to hear things coming from other outside realms. This is why you sometimes hear a voice coming from inside your head when you try to listen to it. The mind perceives using the eyes, but it can still see without the eyes. It doesn't exist only in one dimension, and you can opt to listen to and believe in the voices or ignore them. In the same way, you can either accept or reject what society tells you. The mind listens and talks to itself simultaneously, but when there are too many voices speaking all at once, that's when it becomes problematic. It would be like being in a marketplace where too many people are talking and each has their own feelings and opinions. Agreements aren't always compatible, and some will have conflicts with other agreements. That's why people can be uncertain of their choices, disagreeing with themselves because of some parts while other parts wanting different things. Some parts are also opposed to certain thoughts or actions while others support some ideas. This becomes an internal struggle, and the only way to overcome this is to become aware of all your agreements in life. You'll only suffer when you take things personally, and people will seem to be obsessed with suffering at different levels. If you want to abuse yourself, it's then easy for others to abuse you. Honesty can be unreliable when it comes to others because others are dishonest even with themselves. That's why it's important to trust yourself and make a choice about trusting what others say. Seeing people the way they truly are will make it easier not to be upset about what they say. You would understand when they lie and see that they're not perfect, so it's natural to try to remove their social mask, but know when to stop when their actions don't match with their words. This will save you from emotional heartbreak. When someone who doesn't treat you walks out of your life, see it as a gift. Everyone, including you, deserves respect and love, and even if it hurts at first, you will find a way to heal. You will be able to trust yourself when it comes to the right thing to do, and you won't have to rely on others. Learning how not to take things personally will allow you to break your bad habits causing unnecessary pain. You will then be free to be anywhere with an open heart, knowing that nothing can upset or hurt you. You will cease to be afraid of rejections or criticism, and you can do what you feel is right to begin experiencing happiness and peace despite the messy world. Chapter 4: The Third Agreement. Don't make assumptions. There are a lot of things we assume in life, thinking that they're true despite causing problems later on. This can cause misunderstandings, taking things personally, and unnecessary drama. You may find yourself scared to clarify, so you create these guesses and believe you're right. You will also defend them, making sure that it's not misunderstood. But these assumptions bring nothing but suffering. Why not just ask a question? That won't hurt. It's natural for the mind to find chaos from misunderstanding or misinterpreting things. You don't see things clearly and opt instead to focus on the things you want to notice, the things created by your mind. When there are things that you can't understand, you assume its meaning and end up becoming disappointed if it wasn't what you expected. Assumptions in relationships can also cause problems, thinking that there would be no need to say anything because the other person would understand what you're thinking. You would end up becoming hurt when they fail to meet your expectations. Assumptions, ultimately, make relationships difficult. The mind has this need to explain, justify, and understand everything to feel safe, but the mind can't explain everything, hence, assumptions. Any answers, be it right or wrong, can simply put the mind at ease. It satisfies the mind's demand to understand and ceases to make communication relevant. You begin to assume, even the ones that you can't understand, because you're afraid of asking questions. It's easy to make quick assumptions because it's an agreement to think that it's a normal form of communication. This goes to believing in something so much that you end up destroying relationships in order to keep your assumptions justified. You may think that other people's views are the same as yours, so you begin to hide your true self around people, fearing that they'll judge or blame you the way you do with yourself. Along with this is assuming a lot about yourself. You may underestimate or overestimate your abilities because you haven't looked at yourself, asked questions, and answered them. Perhaps you may begin to be truthful about what you say to yourself. Liking someone and going into a relationship will allow you to explain several things that you like about the other, even going so far as to thinking your love may change them. In truth, people don't change because of other people, they change simply because they want to. Love is not something to justify. Loving someone will mean accepting them without forcing them to change. That person must also do the same with you. When you cease pretending to be someone you're not, you'll be accepted by those who truly love you. You will be able to filter out those who couldn't love you as you are. This may not be idealistic, but it's important that others clearly understand your agreements. It's also important to ask questions and clarify before jumping to conclusions. Don't be afraid to ask until it becomes clear. This is important especially in certain situations. Speak up when you're asking for what you want. You are not forbidden to ask and you're entitled to answers. Clear communication will always improve your relationships, and this kind of interaction will let you steer clear of misunderstandings and conflicts. It can be difficult to do considering we may not be aware of what we do. That's why the first step is always awareness and understanding the gravity of this agreement. But it's more important to do something about this agreement, especially in taking action which will allow you to nurture this agreement to create more positive habits. Practice is key. You will only notice the magic changing within and around you when you begin taking these agreements to heart. Everything will be easier because the knowledge of spirit, intent, gratitude, love, and life surrounds you, and it will lead you to your personal freedom. Chapter 5: The Fourth Agreement. Always do your best. Upon taking action on all the previous agreements, you will be able to create deep-seated habits. For everything that happens, you must remember to always give your best effort, but remember that your best may not always be the same throughout everything you experience. There may be days that your best will be getting out of bed, and in other days, it may be when you achieve a milestone in life. Nevertheless, it will depend on your state, which can change from time to time, but don't let it stop you from working on your agreements, and eventually, you'll be better at sticking to them. It wouldn't matter whether or not your outcomes are excellent as long as you do your best. It's important not to be too hard on yourself, or you'll be wasting a lot of your energy. Avoid wearing yourself out in order to accomplish your tasks more efficiently. Doing less, on the other hand, can cause you to be guilty, frustrated, or regretful. There would be no reason to judge yourself when you do your best, and it will keep you from feeling negative to the point of punishing yourself. You exist not only to feel suffering, but also to experience joy and love. Even meditating would not be necessary as long as you do your best in a short amount of time to appreciate life. Giving everything you've got will allow you to be more productive, and you will end up feeling good about yourself and knowing that you didn't settle for less. And focus constantly on the pleasure you feel in your action, not on the reward that comes after. People work hard every day simply looking forward to payday or the weekend. This kind of mindset causes them to endure workdays and for workdays to become difficult. They work out of necessity and not because of love or fulfillment. This is how they pay the bills and provide for their family. These kinds of frustrations will begin to surface, and they will begin to feel miserable even when the pay arrives. Working hard to do what you love, on the other hand, will make you feel that you get to experience more enjoyment in life. You wouldn't feel as though you're working because it makes you happy. You give your best at your job because you want and choose to do it, not because you need it. This may even cause you to get more than what you expect. As long as you follow this agreement, you will live without regrets. Building this habit will require you to make it a part of your daily life, and you'll then learn to love and accept yourself. It's only important to learn your own mistakes, and the way to do this is to keep practicing the agreements. Taking action means you're living fully and you refuse to be inactive. Sitting on a couch all day and watching television because you're afraid to live, take risks, and accept who you are will do nothing good. No matter what you want, just make a go for it, else, nothing will happen. Go out, explore, and take risks. Show people what you dream about because it's worth manifesting. When you give your best, you give back to God. This is the way to give Him thanks, and there's no need to wish differently. Simply appreciate being alive and be grateful for every opportunity. You're free to experience joy and love and share this with others. Don't let life pass through your eyes, because the fact that you exist shows that God truly exists, and it shows that life and spirit exist. You wouldn't have to prove anything to anyone. All you would need to do is to live your life as best as you can. Be yourself and choose the best self you want to be, no need for some great knowledge or philosophical idea. You're not required to please others because your divine nature is manifested through your love and life. It's easy to succeed with other agreements when you work towards achieving them, and they will eventually keep you from going back to your old habits. Practice will allow you to master the art of transformation, and repetition will allow you to learn everything you know now. Simply taking action on them will make the difference. Soon, you'll be able to find what you seek in achieving personal freedom and self-love, so, go out and experience humanity. Remember that God manifests through you and you honor Him with every word and action. You give Him glory with your whole being. Giving importance to the depth of these agreements will give you a better and more meaningful life. You will have taken back your power and the control over your life. Establishing them will transform your personal nightmare into your heaven. There will be a lot of challenges and obstacles throughout your journey, and you will need a strong will in order to keep true to these agreements. Don't let anything keep you from success, because it's where your life, freedom, and happiness are. It's the way for you to finally escape suffering. There will be times, of course, that you will be hard on yourself, but you must keep going. Soon, it will become easier. Avoid judging yourself when you fall, because you know you can get back up and walk again. Look at the present moment and let your self-respect and self-love to grow continuously. Appreciate every single day of your life, because it's never too late to start a new dream. Chapter 6. The Toltec Path to Freedom. Breaking Old Agreements. Freedom is what everyone wants, and we keep seeing people fight for their freedom, and yet we remain prisoners. True freedom means having an unrestrained spirit and expressing who you truly are. You often blame everything else for feeling trapped, but, in reality, you are the one who is doing this to yourself. You may say you lost your freedom when you get married, but even after breaking up with your partner, you still aren't free. We were once free, but we've forgotten its true meaning. You see true freedom when you look at a child. They would usually do what they want, and they'd be wild, always throwing that big smile because of the fun they're having when exploring the world around them. They feel scared when hurt or hungry, but they don't think about the past or the future. They simply live in the present. Children constantly express themselves, they show their loving nature and receive love openly. A normal person should be like this. Be honest to your true nature. Nevertheless, freedom is lost upon growing up because of certain belief systems having been formed that keep you from showing your true self. Your parents did their best to teach you what they learned growing up, so you can't blame them. However, you're still that little kid inside. That little kid inside you comes out to express themselves in any way. And when your true character comes out, you then experience the best moments of your life. The responsibilities that arrived as you grew up changed everything, reminding you to excel in school, to get a job, and to earn money. Facing responsibilities mean becoming serious. You will find yourself trying to please others and you wouldn't even notice it. In order to truly find the freedom you're searching for, first understand what the real problem is. Nothing will change if you can't pinpoint it, and, with this, your wounds will keep you suffering. There would be no point in letting yourself suffer, and you have ways of transforming your life. When you begin questioning your belief system, you might find some of it are based on lies. It's also important to understand your personal dream because it would manifest in your life. If you don't like how your life is going, you can always choose to change it. Dream masters make their life a masterpiece, and they're aware that every decision they make has a consequence. Toltec wisdom entails a way of living without leaders and followers and living consistently with your personal truth. It entails having a map that will help you escape domestication and lead yourself to the path of freedom. You will know that your belief system is a parasite that takes control of your mind and life. Seeking true freedom will have two choices, either choosing to continue living the same way or become like children who resist and are brave enough to say no. People in Canada, America, and Argentina call themselves warriors who fight against parasites, but you don't have to win the battle. Instead, choose to do your best at all times to regain your freedom. As a warrior, you will have the opportunity to go beyond what the society's dream is and to change your life into a personal heaven. You will create a place of love and happiness where you can truly express yourself, and you will realize that it's possible to reach heaven in the world. You only need to open your eyes and listen with your ears to realize this. You can face your fears one at a time, slowly working your way towards freedom. As you become aware of your beliefs and agreements, find the courage to challenge them. Remember that your innocence has been taken away and that it's up to you to make your choices. Believe what you want and choose to believe in yourself. Be aware of all that's needed to transform your life and focus on what you truly want to change. Think about your beliefs stemming from fear and those that cause you pain and suffering. Once you're aware of all of them, you can begin your transformation by exploring and adopting stronger beliefs, including the 4 agreements. The agreements will give you the chance to end your emotional suffering and live a better life. These will assist you in achieving personal power and becoming a stronger individual. However, you must establish new agreements in order to break the old agreements. This will require patience since you won't be able to break all your old agreements instantly. The best way for this is to constantly practice. And you may also stop reinforcing the parasite by learning to control your emotions. We wake up with a certain amount of physical, emotional, and mental energy we're consuming for the entire day, so it's important not to let your emotions drain your energy. Else, there would be nothing left for you to transform your life or to share with others. Emotions dictate your worldviews, so, when you're angry, everything will seem wrong, and when you're sad, everything will make you want to cry. The mind, in itself, is like infected skin where you're covered with wounds, and each wound has a poison that makes you suffer from all these negative emotions. When someone tries to hurt you, they open a wound to which you respond depending on your beliefs. Fear is a kind of mental illness where the rational mind will begin to fail, and finding a cure will only arrive when you begin to realize that you're infected with this disease. A part of the healing process is, of course, forgiveness. Forgive others because you love yourself enough to free yourself from the torment. You know that you don't have to let this embitter you, and you don't have to abuse yourself. Self-acceptance begins where forgiveness is. Soon, you would stop hurting even when someone tried to touch your wounds. Freedom begins at this point. The problem, however, is mostly when people can't handle their emotions and they let their emotions control them. This causes you to say or do things that you don't mean. Becoming a warrior will allow you to be aware of yourself, and you'll be able to control your own emotions and behavior, conveying them only at the right moment. Acknowledge the war that has been going on within you and have a warrior's discipline in managing them. This will allow you to be who you really are. The last option is the commencement of death, where the parasite is killed symbolically without harming your physical body. This is faster, but it isn't easy to achieve because facing death will require a large amount of courage. Death seems to be our master or teacher who will teach you how to truly live. You acknowledge the fact that, at any point, you can die. So, you can either choose to suffer because death is inevitable, or to use every second doing what you love and what makes you happy, living like there's no tomorrow. The latter will show you how to open your heart. Old beliefs and agreements will truly be gone, and the parasite will have been dead. Surviving this will allow for restoration, and you will live like a child again, not innocent, but free. You will be free to live your life on your own terms. This death will shed the past and allow you to enjoy the now and live your life in the best way possible. Chapter 7. The New Dream. Heaven on Earth. The time to be free and to create your entire life is now. You have the ability to create and reshape it however you want, but the choice is yours if you want to live your life in heaven or in hell. People constantly visualize living a different life, but imagine having a new pair of eyes where you can see the world in an absolutely different way. You will recognize then the love that surrounds you. And even when you see angry or sad people, you can see the love they want to show. When you're in this mindset, you find yourself in a state of complete happiness. There would be no need to defend yourself and you would feel free to express yourself. You will live a life where you're not afraid to share your dreams and of what other people think. You will truly know what you want and no one can control you. There wouldn't even be a need for you to control others. Imagine living a life where you don't feel the need to judge others. It becomes easier to forgive others' shortcomings and you wouldn't need to prove how right you are, making other people wrong. You have respect for yourself and for others. This is the way you gain respect. Imagine living a life of love where you're not afraid to love and not be loved. You will graciously accept rejection because others' acceptance will not be important and you won't be afraid of hurting, letting yourself live with an open heart. You will live a life of exploration and risk-taking, thinking that there's nothing to lose. You won't be scared of death and of truly living. You will accept your imperfections and love yourself as you are. You truly can live this way, achieving this kind of life through love and happiness. There will be love everywhere you go and you know it's attainable because a lot of people have already done it. They have created new agreements that allow them to live a happier life. You can live like this as well because you're not different. You'll realize that heaven truly exists when you understand that it's within your reach, but you will exert a lot of effort into remaining. You will soon find love within yourself. The world is a beautiful place to live in and life is easy when you live it full of love. It's your choice to love everything and everyone around you even when there aren't too many reasons to love. You can still love simply because it makes you happy. Love will bring joy and a sense of inner peace, and how you see the world will change. People have been looking for happiness and have been working hard to achieve it. In truth, happiness lies within you. You only let your beliefs cloud your mind, but once you let go of these old agreements, you will allow yourself to feel and experience love. Keep yourself from suffering and being comfortable with that. Suffering is a choice, but nevertheless, heaven is certainly a better choice. Prayers. Close your eyes and let gratitude and appreciation fill your heart. Take a deep and gentle breath, feeling the air fill your lungs. Be aware of this connection and allow yourself to feel the love flourish. Experience the gratitude of simply breathing because it keeps you alive. Then take some time to say your gratitude. Devotion for freedom and love. Pray and ask for the unconditional love, knowing that He is love. He prevails in the world, so ask for help to become like Him, to love without expectations, conditions, or judgment. Ask for His guidance in order to accept and love yourself despite your imperfections. He created everything and you must learn to love His creations. Pray that love will allow you to accept those who are difficult to love because every time you reject others, you reject yourself and Him. Ask for Him to cleanse your heart and remove your emotional pain, to let go of any judgment in order to experience love and peace. Make today a special day in praying that He would open your heart to love and appreciation without fear. Offer your whole being to Him in order to share His love. Show gratitude for every opportunity in expressing your true self and thank Him for the life given to you. The gratitude you feel is because of your wonderful mind and body, showing that His pure love, abundant spirit, and radiant light lives inside you. Express your love towards your Creator in the same way He loves you. Pray that He continues to retain peace and love in your heart in order to live in love forever. Conclusion. As children, adults taught us what they know, what they believed was right and wrong and how to behave appropriately, which was the same knowledge they acquired as children themselves. Because of this, we weren't able to choose what we wanted to learn and we have all these beliefs, but when others challenged them, we felt afraid. Because of this, we hide our true selves as we grow up in order to live up to society's expectations. Our habits, however, cause us suffering, but the good thing is that we can break out of them. When we incorporate the 4 new agreements into our daily lives, we slowly eliminate this suffering. You can start by acknowledging what power your words have. Be careful about what you say because it can either uplift or bring others down. This is why gossiping is not a good form of communication. Opt instead to spread kindness and goodness. When others tell you something, always remember that it has less to do with you and more to do with themselves. Others' words and actions are based on their own agreements as what they've been taught. We all live differently, and you must understand that your world is different from others. Always be courageous in asking or clarifying when you don't understand something. Never assume that you know everything. It would be better to clearly communicate than create misunderstandings and conflicts with other people. Adopting these new agreements as best as you can will allow you to create positive changes in your life. It won't be easy, but keeping a forward motion will allow you to have no regrets and eventually lead you to self-love and self-acceptance. The important thing is that you're constantly moving towards improving yourself and your life. Being knowledgeable about a lot of things in life will give you the awareness that it's within your volition to change your agreements should you choose. You always have the option of starting a new journey towards happiness and freedom. You are free to express your true self without the fear of being judged or rejected. Use this power to create a better world that is full of love and happiness. You can experience heaven on earth, and you have every reason to do so. The world is beautiful, and you can live an amazing life when you choose to do so. It's always up to you, so choose love and happiness in living the 4 agreements.